I keep getting a very specific kind of feeling around this reading. And it's the feeling of the body trying to communicate something to the mind while the mind is resisting it or trying to downplay it or kind of overwrite those feelings. So this video is meant to find a divine feminine who is very clairsomatic and also clairempathic. And so what this means is your entire life, you've been picking up intuitive signals and interpreting them through both your physical body and also your emotions. One sign that this is for you is you are someone who will sometimes feel an unexplained and unexpected emotion when you're around someone or when you're in a certain group or crowd. So for example, you could just suddenly feel angry or suddenly feel really tense or really sad and have no idea where this emotion is coming from. And you've noticed that this tends to happen when you're around other people. So you may really prioritize your alone time because those are the times where you don't feel as inundated with all of that energetic and emotional information that you are receiving all the time. Often you also have had the experience of then being gaslit for the things that you are feeling. So for example, when your body picks up on anger or tension in another person and you manifest or feel the anger or the tension that they are suppressing, that other person may sometimes gaslight you or tell you that you shouldn't be feeling that way, or that almost like make you feel as though there's something wrong with you for feeling the emotion that they are suppressing. And on a more collective level, this has been happening to you on a broader scale. So you feel everything that the human collective is suppressing in a stronger way. But then often society will make you feel as though there is something broken about you for essentially feeling what they are holding themselves back from feeling. And what I'm getting is when you don't listen to those emotions, you often find that they actually show up or manifest through your physical body as well. So your body is very perceptive of energy. And while many people seem to have a stronger wall or a stronger buffer physically that allows them to be able to kind of shock absorb a lot of external energies, I'm getting that for you, you tend to feel energy immediately in your physical body. So when you are around a very chaotic kind of energy, or for example, if you're in a really busy place, you may actually start to feel nausea or to feel like lightheadedness or to actually get physical sensations because you are picking up on the energy of that space. Now, of course, I am not a medical professional, so I always recommend seeing a medical professional with any physical symptoms. But what I'm getting is that you have your entire life learned this sort of self-rejection of these physical bodily symptoms and these emotional symptoms as well, because you were labeled as too sensitive, or maybe even thought of yourself or your body as fragile or as unpredictable or unreliable, because you may have been telling yourself, just like people around you may have been telling you, that these signals and these physical signs and symptoms were just completely random and just like a burden or like an obstacle to be sort of like overcome or pushed through, when in actuality, they were signals that were meant to be listened to. And so I wanted to start this reading this way because while we're going to get into a more specific message about how this is showing up in your life with a specific person or energy that I'm sensing around you, I wanted to start here just to lay a foundation, because this is the kind of person that you are, the kind of spiritual abilities that you have. And there's something about a greater theme playing out in your life right now where you are learning to listen to yourself in a deeper way. And specifically, I'm seeing that you're coming into this era where you are meant to be more deeply connecting with your physical body, with its signs and signals that you may have been ignoring for a really long time. So you may find this at a time where you're becoming more aware and physically self-connected, or maybe you've been doing that for a while now, because I'm getting that you're coming to this place where you're actually honoring those internal physical bodily signals instead of trying to push them down or pretend that they aren't there. But when it comes to this specific person or energy in your life, I'm getting very strongly that this reading will find you at a time when your body is trying to deliver a very specific message for you about a certain person. And the sense that I get is that the mind has been resisting this message because on the surface, things look very different than what's happening in the energy. So it's almost like the mind is trying to write some kind of story here, but the body is feeling everything that's being intuitively suppressed about this person. So that is the basis for today's reading. I'm going to go ahead and start shuffling the cards. If you would like to get a more specific message from this reading, then I do recommend subscribing to the channel because this is a form of energetic transference that often allows me to pick up more easily on your energy and channel more specifically for you and your situation, not just here in this video, but over the course of time as well as I keep channeling messages for our collective here on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and start shuffling. Yeah, we have action in the upright position. So what I'm getting is that this person who seems to be coming through here seems to be someone who takes a lot of action towards you or does the right things in the physical. For some reason, I keep seeing someone's hands. Maybe this is a masculine energy who literally works with their hands. I'm getting something about the word construction, so that could be relevant for someone. But what I'm getting is that this is someone who seems to do all of the right things on the surface. This could be a romantic or a non-romantic situation, but I do get that for many of you, there is that romantic vibe or undertone to it. Now, I'm getting as well that I have to mention the masculine and feminine energies are, of course, just energies. They are not connected to specific genders. So this could be, for example, a woman who carries more masculine energy, who is taking all of this action towards you, like even as a friend or something like that. It doesn't have to be a man per se. It also doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic situation. I'm getting the numbers 1 and 7 may be significant to you, specifically the number 17 as well. And yeah, so I hear surface. I keep hearing surface, that they're doing all of the right things or taking a lot of action on the surface. But there is this uneasiness and this tension that seems to be beneath the surface. And I'm getting that your physical body seems to be manifesting a lot of that. Now, this reading is going to get very specific. I know I say this in all of my readings, or at least many of these mini readings that I do outside of our main collective readings. But seriously, this reading is feeling hyper specific because we also have the contract card. And so let's just get deep into the specifics and, of course, only take what does resonate for you. I know that a lot of you do appreciate when I get more specific in these readings. So I like to do that whenever the specifics are coming up here. But what I'm getting is that the masculine energy here is very much involved in a heavy karmic contract or cycle with a lot of loose ends. I'm literally seeing like loose wires and all of these like loose ends of those wires. And I feel like something really needs to be tied up here. It's almost like that represents their energy because wires will carry an electrical current. So we could almost think of them as energetically having all of these loose wires that are carrying their energy current in kind of a chaotic, disjointed sort of way. And so I'm getting that whenever you are really closely interacting with this masculine, but I'm especially getting physically, like when you are physically very close to them, it seems as though your physical body is giving you like signs or symptoms that seem to be trying to communicate that they have all of these loose ends of energy. I'm getting that on some level you may have, I'm hearing something like you don't know how deep it goes. So I feel as though on some level you understand that this masculine is dealing with something or is in a karmic cycle, but you may not know the extent of it. And I almost feel like your physical body's intuition is trying to warn you that not like there's any kind of danger, but it's trying to alert you to the fact that there may be more to the story here than this masculine is telling you about or letting on consciously. Although I feel like you are completely sensing that, like, you know, on some level, there is more to the story here. You know that there's something that you're not fully seeing or fully aware of when it comes to this masculine. I'm seeing a white dress, so this also could represent a wedding or marriage or a marital contract or something like that. But I'm also seeing someone with like a blindfold over their eyes. So someone is not, I'm hearing intentionally not seeing something. It's like your mind does not want you to see this. And the reason being because your mind is almost trying to write some kind of story with this person. And I'm hearing that whenever details or things don't seem to fit into that story, you have had this tendency to kind of just let them go or overwrite them. But I'm hearing something isn't adding up. Something isn't being fully shared or disclosed. I don't feel that this is necessarily malicious, but I do feel that things in this masculine's energy are more open-ended than they are letting on. And I almost get that they're trying to cover that with other things, like with doing all of the right things or saying all of the right things. With the sacral chakra, though, I feel you're dominantly feeling these sensations in your sacral chakra. So this is like the lower abdomen or like lower stomach region. And I'm getting this sense that you may be feeling like tension or uneasiness or something like that. But it's almost like they're trying to continuously signal your attention back to the present, like what they're doing in the present. And it's causing you to not look deeper at what is going on in the energy, because again, your mind doesn't seem to want to see that, is what I'm picking up on here. Can I get more information on what is going on in this masculine's energy? So with the World card, the thing is, and this is where I was picking up a lot of nuance here, because I don't feel that this masculine is inherently malicious or anything like that. In fact, seemingly very much the opposite. There is a genuine nature about them. There's a sweetness about them. I do get the tendency in the energy to sense that there is something that they are avoiding. It's like they have the tendency to avoid something or to maybe be avoidant of conflict in general, but there is some kind of inner conflict or some conflict in their life that they have to face head on. So this masculine tends to be very conflict avoidant, but there's some kind of internal conflict that they have to resolve. And so that's kind of why this dynamic has been coming up, where they're trying to sort of avoid looking at something in their own life or facing something, and they're almost trying to cover it with like the band-aid of your love and your time and your affection and attention. Again, I don't feel like they're necessarily doing this consciously or maliciously, but they definitely are conflict avoidant, and you make them feel so good. This is someone who probably tells you all the time that they feel so good around you. They feel so warm and at home and lit up and inspired around you. But the problem here is, I feel as though they feel that way after the two of you spend time together, and you feel the need to like clear your energy. The sense that I'm getting is like you walk away from interactions with this masculine, especially close physical ones, feeling a bit disoriented, even if the experience itself had positive aspects to it or felt good in some way. I'm getting the sense that you walk away feeling a bit frazzled, feeling like almost like dissociating in a way, like staring off into space. That is you, because that is your energetic system being flooded with this masculine's energy and sensing that even though they're doing it unconsciously, they're still using you as kind of this band-aid for what they're avoiding looking at or tying up internally in themselves or their life. And so you're feeling those like loose, open threads of energy here really strongly, and it's seeming to affect you on like some kind of physical level here is what I'm picking up on. Talking about all of this is also making me think of a specific subliminal that I actually created for moments like this and for these exact kinds of energy dynamics, because the divine feminine collectively often is so gaslit by society or by other people in her life or even by her own self to ignore those kinds of intuitive signals. So this was sort of the basis for me creating my subliminal called Magnetic Feminine Energy. And the purpose of this subliminal was to really help the divine feminine to come back to her center and to be able to feel more deeply at home within herself and her own energy while clearing out any external energies, because that's really where magnetism comes from for the divine feminine. It comes from returning back to herself. And that is exactly why masculine energies in society generally, like this specific masculine, so love being around the divine feminine, because they can sense that magnetism. But in the process, if they are unhealed within themselves, it's almost as though they are also siphoning some of that magnetism, which is the exact kind of energy dynamic that we're seeing happening here. So if you've been feeling as though this has been your situation and your body's intuition has been trying to speak to you, the energy has been feeling off, and there's something that you can't quite consciously grasp here, but you're feeling it in your cells, in your energy, in your physical body, then this subliminal could be really supportive for you on your journey, because you can trust whatever you're sensing, and listening to this will help to deeply reprogram your subconscious mind to reactivate that deeper sense of self-trust within you so that you can really return to your core of self-sourced power. So you can actually start with a free trial inside the app to try this subliminal out and see how it supports you through this situation and on your journey as a divine feminine. And I will leave a link to learn more in the pinned comment and description box underneath this video if that's something that you're interested in. But I want to go deeper into this dynamic and talk about what is going on here as far as while this masculine seems to be avoiding whatever this is that they don't want to face or look at the same time, they also seem to be expanding. And that is the complex dynamic. In fact, if we look at this from a higher octave, what we see is that you entered this masculine's life to actually trigger an expansion. So they've been dealing with these open threads of energy for a while, and I feel almost as though they had kind of stagnated. It's like their spirit guide sent them you because they had been really stagnating in some kind of way on their journey, their spiritual journey, even though they might not refer to it as a spiritual journey, quote unquote, because I get the sense that they are more logically oriented and more focused on like the concrete physical world. But what I'm getting is that they'd really stagnated for a while. For some reason, I keep hearing something about like 2 years. I don't know if that is relevant for someone, but I'm getting that for a period of time, this masculine had really stalled out because it's almost like they were looping in a way. And so the universe sent them you as this catalyst to pull them out of that sort of looping kind of dynamic and to reveal to them what they needed to, I keep hearing like what they needed to tie up, like the loose ends they needed to resolve in their life in order to move forward. But it's almost like they needed a motivating force to push them out of that energy. So you came in as like this motivator, but you weren't meant to be the Band-Aid or the bridge here. And that is where we're experiencing a little bit of complication, because you were meant to be the catalyst, but they weren't meant to use you as the bridge. They were meant to be the one to resolve this unresolved energy in their life. And yes, you may be their source of motivation to do that, but they're meant to dig deep within themselves and take that kind of action towards themselves rather than only taking action towards you and almost like trying to Band-Aid or cover what they're avoiding internally. So let's see if we can get anything else here. Although what I am picking up as far as like maybe a final message of guidance from this reading, the message seems to simply be coming through to really return back to your center, to your core, and to allow this masculine's expansion by stepping back in some way that feels self-empowering for you to get reconnected with your own energy, whatever that looks like for you. And I know that you most likely have your own routines and rituals that tend to help you self-reconnect. But what I'm getting is that those things will be really important for you right now, because when you self-reconnect, it allows this masculine to be inspired to free themselves, essentially, to do what they need to do. Yeah, with the 8 of Swords reversed, this is the energy of liberation, of them overcoming this avoidant tendency, the avoidance of their problems or things they need to resolve, and them liberating themselves from some situation that they've been stalled out in for a while here. I'm hearing they know what they need to do. They know what they need to do. Maybe even type that in the comments section to really lock in this energy. They know what they need to do. That could be a really powerful affirmation to allow you on your side to be able to surrender more in this situation. Yeah, because I feel like they do know what they need to do, but they've been hesitating with the Ace of Wands in the reverse position. And I'm just hearing something about it being time. I feel like there was this period of time where the two of you were connecting and it felt really good and really aligned. And maybe you didn't even get as many of these like physical feelings or symptoms around that time. But what I'm getting is something here has run its course. It's like you've sparked the flame here. You've been the activation. And now that's sort of run its course. And it's time for the masculine here to step up into the action to resolve what's going on in their own life and their own energy, to remove themselves from this heavy contract situation. And I'm hearing something about you not being meant to get in the middle of that. It's like you're meant to rise above that and to inspire them up to a higher place, but they have to be the one to take the action to meet you there. That could be another affirmation to write below. They will meet me there. When you rise to that higher energy, I see that they will be inspired up to a higher place. But there's something about timing here and how things have progressed to this point where it's like, I don't know, I'm hearing make it or break it. I feel like there's some kind of point that the two of you are reaching where it's really time for them to take that activation that they've received from you completely by this point and to actually step up to make this positive change in their own life. So I'm going to go ahead and close the reading here. That kind of feels like the complete message. I know it's very specific, so I hope it reaches you if it is for you. And if it is connecting for you, I would love to hear from you in the comments section. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I post new messages like this that could be relevant to something happening in real time in your life. When you're subscribed, you also will get notified when I go live on the channel, and I am planning on doing another live stream very soon where I can answer questions and talk to you in real time. So be sure you're subscribed for that as well. Otherwise, I'm going to close the reading here. Have an amazing day, and I will connect with you here again in the next video.